Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's time for a brand new episode of Redneck Revolution Spills the Beans. What are we spilling the beans about? Are we talking about gossip and celebrities? No. Are we talking about negative thoughts? No. Are we talking about my work? Oh, hell no. Are we talking about politics? Absolutely not. What we are talking about is dance competitions, and how this information might help you become a better competitor or dancer overall. By no means am I an expert, I'm just a guy with years of experience. And of course, I'm doing this for free. Why? Because not everybody can afford to pay a coach to break all this information down for them. Now, before I get into today's episode, Tinker, is there anything you want to say as our sponsor? I will let you get back to your business over there in the litter box. Anyway, we're moving right along. I want to step back away from talking about points and the different categories of scoring to talk about something that I see raised as a question quite often, especially in line dance groups on Facebook. And that is, what are the different levels of dance? Okay, this primarily will pertain to line dance and fixed pattern partner dance. Okay, and I will do my best to break these down into an understandable way. Now, the different levels of dances you have are AB, which is absolute beginner, beginner, improver, easy intermediate, intermediate, and advanced. So what's the difference between them? Well, let's start at the bottom of the list with AB dances, or absolute beginner. These are dances that have been choreographed with the absolute beginner dancer level in mind. And these are dancers with probably 0 to 3 months experience. Don't take that as the metric because everybody learns at their own paces, but that is the general accepted idea of what an absolute beginner is. These dances will not have any syncopation. They absolutely should not have restarts or tags, and generally they're going to be maybe 16 counts to possibly 32 counts long as they get a little bit harder. Like I said, they are designed for absolute beginner dancers. Now we move on to beginner. What is a beginner? This is somebody with a little bit of dance experience and knowledge, but they are kind of like the Jeeps of the dance world. What do I mean by Jeeps? That's a military term. If you heard it before, you already know it. And if you feel like you need to know what a Jeep is, contact me personally and I will tell you what that acronym stands for. So, beginner dances, these are people 3 months, and they could go on up to 2 years because, again, everybody learns at their own pace. But in general, 3 months to around 6, 7, or 8 months of dance experience. These dances will not have eccentric turns whatsoever. They will introduce you to syncopation and maybe a tag or a restart in them. They're not going to have turns much higher than a quarter of a turn, and possibly a half if it's a little bit leaning towards improver level. That brings us up to improver. What is an improver level dancer? This is somebody with 6 months to maybe 9 months to a year or a little bit more, because everybody learns at their own pace of dance experience. They've jumped out of the Jeep and they're into something more. Now, improver dances will have a lot more syncopation. You will see more half turns in them, but not very difficult ones, and you will see restarts and tags. Not necessarily both in the same dance, but possibly. So, that takes us to easy intermediate. I don't know when this one started. I just opened up Copper Knob one day to take a look at a step sheet that I had typed out years ago, and it said easy intermediate. I'm like, that's new on me. I thought it was intermediate. But I guess after a period of time, when people learn a lot of the intermediate steps, they become easier and easier, especially transitioning from improver, where they started getting introduced to those. An easy intermediate level dancer has more than a year experience, in my opinion. However, there are people that are out there that are savants at dance and can jump right from absolute beginner to intermediate in less than a year's time. I don't personally advise that because you don't have enough time to actually learn your proper techniques. Okay, then we get into intermediate. Intermediate dances where you're going to see dance steps like Applejack. Okay, and as you go a little bit higher, you'll see what I call Pac-Man or walking Applejacks. It's a more difficult dance step. Intermediate dancers are generally anybody with more than a year and a half experience. Remember, that is not the absolute metric because everybody learns at their own pace. Okay, after intermediate, and of course, when we're talking about the different levels, beginner all the way through intermediate, you'll see a lot of 32 count dances, possibly 48 as you go into improver and intermediate. And then in general, in intermediate itself, you will see 64 count dances start to become a little bit more common as they become even more difficult to do. Then we go into advanced. What is an advanced dancer? This is somebody that they know their technique, they've learned proper technique, they implement proper technique, and they're helping out all the different levels below them become better dancers. Now, when we're talking about dance itself, these are the very, very difficult dances to do. Generally, they're 64 counts or higher when the dance was created. It's very common in anywhere from intermediate to advanced to see ABC phrase dances, or of course the A1, A2 that is now becoming more common in line dance. And of course, with being an advanced dancer, you get used to these harder steps. Is there something beyond advanced dancer? No, there is not. There's nothing higher than advanced line dance. And I know there's somebody out there, after you reach a certain point, you're an expert. Well, there is no such thing as an expert because there is always something more to learn. So hopefully this broke it down for you in a way that you can understand it. I know I talked about the different counts later in the video. It happened, it just kind of slipped my mind, but I brought myself back full circle into it. Anyway, if you do have any questions, feel free to contact me at ptsper@gmail.com or drop a comment in the comment section, and I will answer you as soon as I possibly can and hopefully put you in the right direction for those answers if I don't know them myself. We will catch you all later.